But as some kid on Instagram said, you Nats fans didn't deserve to win the World Series last year and you just got lucky. You scrubs know nothing about the game, so you should just shut up now. Hashtag LFGM. So yeah, what do I know about the game? So in last place, without a doubt, is going to be the Baltimore Orioles. Now the Orioles, they suck, and they're going to continue to suck. John Means is really good. In fourth place of the AL East, I'm shaking it up a bit, and I'm going to say the Boston Red Sox. The Red Sox did make some good moves this offseason, bringing in Martin Perez for the pitching, Jose Peraza, Kevin Pillar, and Alex Verdugo, all for hitting. Still have good hitters with Andrew Benintendi, Christian Vasquez, Xander Bogaerts, Rafael Devers, Michael Chavis, Mitch Moreland, and JD Martinez. But their lineup to me is a bit too streaky, and I'm worried that when they're not good, they're really bad. But when they're really good, they're one of the most dangerous teams in all of baseball. Not to mention their bullpen kind of sucks, and by kinda I mean a lot. The only effective arm they have is Brandon Workman, but he's going to be your closer, and they don't really have any other arms that can really help them there. Hitting is what carries you in a 60-game season, then they're a wild card team. But right now, where it seems like pitching is something you're going to need, in just any season at all you need pitching, the Red Sox do not look good at all. Tanner Roark, Chase Anderson, and Shun Yamaguchi. They have Ken Giles as their closer, and I think he needs to be moved at the trade deadline because I don't think they're going to be that competitive this year, or at least better than the Red Sox, not a wild card team. For the Yankees is absolutely ridiculous. Gary Sanchez, Gleyber Torres, Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, DJ LeMahieu, Aaron Hicks, Brett Gardner, Luke Voit, Gio Urshela. They also have a very good starting rotation. Just having Garrett Cole as their ace alone shows how good they are. Not to mention James Paxton, Masahiro Tanaka, Jay Happ, and Jordan Montgomery. They also have one of, if not the best bullpens in all of baseball. Their closer, Aroldis Chapman, may have been positive for COVID-19, but they can easily replace him with any of these guys. Zach Britton, Tommy Kahnle, Adam Ottavino, Jonathan Holder, Jonathan Loaisiga, and Chad Green. They're still the top wildcard spot for the AL. They're the best pitching team in all of baseball. They have the second best rotation in all of baseball and the best bullpen in all of baseball. Nick Anderson, Diego Castillo, Chaz Rowe and his insane slider, Oliver Drake, Colin Poche, Jose Alvarado, Peter Fairbanks, Andrew Kittredge. The Adamas, Brandon Lau, Kevin Kiermaier, G-Man Choi, and Yandy Diaz. They also made trades for some new hitters, getting Hunter Renfroe and Manuel Marco from the Padres, Jose Martinez, Randy Arozarena from the Cardinals, and Yoshi Tsutsugo from Japan. Can easily make a trade for someone at the deadline, and if there's a team that's going to revolutionize and define how the season's going to go, it's going to be this team. If there's a team that's going to make a move at the deadline and take advantage of it, then the Rays are the team to do it. Now let's switch over to the NL East, and we'll start with their easy last place team, the Miami Marlins. The Marlins, of all the teams that are tanking, are at least the best one because they have their prospects coming up. They had Jonathan Villar for absolutely nothing, which shocks me. He had a 2020 season last year. And Brendan Kinsler is good to trade at the deadline because hopefully he'll do well. Then you also got Matt Joyce and Francisco Cervelli. Their rotation has some nice potential with Sandy Alcantara, Caleb Smith, and Jordan Yamamoto. They need Lewis Brinson to step up, and if he's not, then he's done. They're moving in the right direction, but it'll be a few years before they're still competitive, but at least their rebuild is being able to actually show some signs of progress. They have a nice ace 1-2-3 that should be good. Aaron Nola, Jake Arrieta, Zach Wheeler. Jake Arrieta has not been the same he has when he was in Chicago, and Aaron Nola failed to follow up on his 2018 and 2019. Alright, third place of the NL East, I have the New York Mets. Marcus Stroman is solid, but not the ace he was in Toronto. Steven Matz is super sketchy, and Rick Porcello and Michael Walker are nice veterans for the back end. Don't know how they'll do, though. Their bullpen is overrated. Rated. It is not a top 10 bullpen in baseball. The fact people think that is absolutely absurd. Edwin Diaz had one good year. Luis Familia, if he was gonna be back to what he was earlier in his career, why didn't he do that last year when he went back to the Mets? Seth Lugo had one good year. Dellin Betances hasn't pitched fully since 2018, and he's still a question mark. Justin Wilson was solid, but he's been proven to be solid before. The Mets are a team of too many questions and what-ifs. What if Yoenis Cespedes is back to being what he was? What if Diaz and Familia have bounce-back years? What if Betances is just as good? What if Porcello and Waka do as well at the back end of the rotation? What if Stroman is back to being an ace? What if DeGrom wins a Cy Young three-peat? What if Robinson Cano bounces back? What if Ahmed Rosario has a breakout year like people say he will? Alright, so second place in the NL East, it's really a toss-up for me between the Nationals and the Braves, but since I am a Nats fan and I am not named Giraffe Deck Mark, I am actually going to not make my opinion super biased, and I'm going to put the Nationals in second place, mainly because I think that the Braves winning the division for the past 2 years gives them the advantage there. And the main thing to highlight is they have the best starting rotation in all of baseball, and anyone who says otherwise is just wrong. Steven Strasburg showed all the hype he was getting as a prospect, and that when he's healthy, he is amazing. And during the postseason, he was a hero. Patrick Corbin made the overpayment everyone said he was receiving last offseason all but worth it from Game 7 alone. And everything he did in Arizona 2018, he did in 2019. And their fourth and fifth guys in that rotation are also really good. Anibal Sanchez put up a really good year last year for the second year in a row. Austin Voth, who is supposed to be our fifth guy, did very well for the time he had up in the majors last year. And even before Joe Ross opted out, I wanted Austin Voth to be our fifth guy. Howie Kendrick has low-key been a really good hitter, and people have seemed to be overlooking him. He's going to do really well as a designated hitter, especially because you don't have to worry about him in the field. Asdrubal Cabrera is back, and his stats from his time with the Nationals last year gets overlooked, and I feel like people need to appreciate how good he was in the span of games he had. Third base, Carter Kieboom, top prospect. I wasn't that big on him last year when he was up, but I'm excited to see what he can do. Starlin Castro has been a really good hitter, and he has more hits now in his career than Derek Jeter did when he was at the same age Castro is now. I think no longer being in the pitcher's park of Miami will help him a lot. Eric Thames at first base I like a lot. He was supposed to be a platoon guy with Ryan Zimmerman, but Zim opted out. Now, I know I gave the Mets shit for their bullpen, and the Nats one isn't that much better, but I do think that the Nats have better guys with better potential. Daniel Hudson and Sean Doolittle are proven to be consistent and dominant. Will Harris joining in is huge, and he was amazing in Houston, but I'm not going to praise him too much because of how Mets fans praised Edwin Diaz and how Cubs fans praised Craig Kimbrell last year. And this team has the lineup to do it. They have the starting pitching to do it. They're honestly basically the same team from last year. I could keep going on a wild repeat, but I still think they are a wild card team for this year. Marcelo Zuna filling in a power gap. I'm not that big on him. But then again, Josh Donaldson wasn't that big of a signing last year, and he did amazing. So maybe Ozuna, goes back to being his all-star caliber of a player. But if not, he will be a liability. Dansby Swanson is a very hot and cold hitter. And I guess my only other real question is Freddie Freeman at full strength for this year? He had a tough battle with COVID. Glad he's recovered and healthy. But is he at full strength? And just if anything happens to Freeman, Acuna, and Albies, what is this team? But for now, we are going to jump straight into it with the last place team of the American League, the Detroit Tigers. They have two nice guys in CJ Cron and Jonathan Scope, and the rest of their hitting sucks. They need to trade Matt Boyd at the deadline because he's a really good starting pitcher, and some teams could buy into that. Their pitching prospects are going to be another year or two. All their prospects are going to be a year or two. They're just a young team figuring out who's going to stick and who's not. And they're going to keep wasting Miguel Cabrera's career, although Miggy is on the decline and has been pretty injury prone. Fourth place is another team that is tanking, but they're a lot more interesting of a team. That is the Kansas City Royals. That being said, Adalberto Mondesi is a nice guy to be like your main part of the core, and Whit Merrifield needs to be traded at the deadline. The Royals will get good things back from him, which I don't get why they haven't traded him yet. Another guy they need to trade is Jorge Soler. If he keeps mashing, then every team has a DH now, and Jorge Soler could be a valuable guy to trade. And I can also see Ian Kennedy being traded because he had a nice year last year as the closer. In third place for the AL Central is another hot take, but I'm saying Cleveland Indians. Fortunately, their bullpen is a bit suspect to me. They have Brad Hand, who is their closer, and not really much else. The Indians are in a win-now mode, but they have been selling off a lot of players, and trading Corey Kluber this past offseason was a big fail for the Indians, mainly because both players that they got back in the trade, one got COVID and one got suspended. And I guess the big question left is, what are they going to do with Lindor? And I think, honestly, the Indians get a bad start this year. Lindor is gone at the deadline, if not this offseason. If the Indians miss the playoffs in 2020, then they're going to have to blow it up and start a full-on rebuild in my eyes. Ronaldo Lopez is in there. He'll be like more of a back-end of the rotation guy. Gio Gonzalez also will make a solid starter. Steve Cishek was the only good reliever for the Cubs last year, and he's now here. And Jace Fry and Kelvin Herrera, they'll be fine. I do think that Alex Colomé gets traded at the deadline, because he only has 1 year left on his contract, and because he will be a nice piece for any team that's competing and is looking for a bullpen piece. I don't think that the White Sox will make the playoffs this year. I think they need to see what this current core can do and then maybe add a couple arms in there. But I think in the coming years, this White Sox team is built to do really well, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do with this. And they are going to hit a lot of home runs. That's Jose Barrios, who I think is a dark horse Cy Young candidate. They have a schedule against the two easiest divisions in baseball. I think they will have the best record in all of baseball, mainly because of their much easier schedule. They have guys that'll be nice trade pieces. I think they need to trade as many of them as possible. The big ones being Josh Bell. He will be a nice trade target for any team that needs a first baseman or a designated hitter. I think Adam Frazier might be traded to be a bench bat for a competitive team. And Keone Kela, who's their closer, will be traded mainly because competitive teams will need bullpen arms this year. In fourth place of the NL Central, people are going to hate this, but I hate them too. That's the Chicago Cubs. I do not like the Chicago Cubs, and that's just mainly a personal thing. The Cubs are a dynasty that failed every year except the 1 year they won the World Series. That should be good, but most of those guys fell off or were injury prone last year, and their pitching is not good as it used to be anymore. Kyle Hendricks is okay, but John Lester is declining a lot. Yu Darvish is either really good or really bad. They traded for Jose Quintana, and they gave up Eloy Jimenez, and Jose Quintana's injured. Eloy is on a much better team. And their bullpen is just bad, and I can tell you as a Nats fan that it doesn't matter if Craig Kimbrell bounces back. One good reliever cannot save you. You need other bullpen arms to be good. You need your starters to go 7 to 8 innings if you want to avoid using them as possible, which with the Cubs rotation would not work at all. Even if on paper they are a strong team, but they don't have the guns to keep up in the NL Central anymore. Aside from Jack Flaherty, who, if he continues his 2019 streak, will be insane. They just need lineup improvements and maybe 1 or 2 starting rotation arms to really catch my eye more. I just think that they're better than the Cubs, mainly because they have more of better all-around feel to them, which is why I have them in third place of the Central. Alright, second place in the Central, I'm giving it to the Milwaukee Brewers. Now, they still have their solid core there, with Christian Yelich, who is my MVP pick for this year. Lorenzo Cain is a nice Gold Glover that can hit if he's on his game. I don't like Ryan Braun as a person, but as a hitter, he's really good. Yasin Hira had a great rookie season. And Orlando Arcia can be best described as a baseball player whose position is shortstop. Brandon Woodruff as an ace, sure, you'll take it. But Adrian Hauser, Corbin Burns are both meh. They got Justin Smoke, Eric Sogard, Ryan Healy, Avisail Garcia, Jed Jerko, and Brock Holt for the hitting. And for the pitching, they got Brett Anderson, Josh Lindblom from the KBO, and David Phelps. I also like the trades they made. The Eric Lauer and Luis Urias from the Padres. Lauer will be an improvement from what they had in the rotation, and Urias needs to be their shortstop over Orlando Arcia. Omar Narvaez from the Mariners I think will work. He's a good catcher, but he needs to work on his defense because he's terrible there. Offensively, he will do great. So I have them in second place because I think they will do well. Nonetheless, they have an MVP in Christian Yelich with them. So I have them in second place of the NL Central. In the winner of the NL Central, I have the Cincinnati Reds. I think with how easy their schedule became because of the shortened season and all that, and they have a hitter's park with this lineup, they are going to go places. Add Mike Moustakas, who we know is a really good lefty hitter in the Cincinnati ballpark, and Nick Castellanos, who after leaving Detroit became a god and had a better second half with the Cubs than all of his first half with the Tigers. They also got Japanese player Shogo Akiyama, curious how he'll do. And I think they will win the NL Central, and they could be very dangerous this year. So, Reds, NL Central winners. So, we're going to be talking about the AL and NL West. So, let's start with the last place team in the AL West, the Seattle Mariners. The Mariners are tanking, and they don't really have much to look forward to. Kyle Seager, I think, needs to be traded at the deadline. I think he will. If they can click, then they have potential to be one of the best teams in baseball. They also have Ronald Guzman, Rougned Odor, Elvis Andrus, Danny Santana, Willie Calhoun, Nick Solak, and Shin-Soo Choo. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa is currently emerging during spring training and summer camp. Robinson Chirino should help the offense. He's a nice catcher. Todd Frazier will be a nice addition. Not going to hurt to have him there. Their rotation is very interesting. I think these guys have potential and do very well. Lance Lynn and Mike Minor as their top two, both really good 2019s. They stole Corey Kluber from the Indians. Then Kyle Gibson and Jordan Lyles as free agent signings for the 4th and 5th. That's a good rotation. In second place for the AL West, I have the Oakland Athletics. I don't want to do this because I want the Athletics to win the division, but the team in first place, I still think they're too good. The Athletics are a wildcard team this year, second wildcard spot. They have an insanely good infield, probably the best in baseball, with Matt Chapman and Matt Olson at third and first base, respectively. Marcus Semien got third place in MVP voting last year. That tells you how good he is. They have Tony Kemp at second base, which doesn't really wow me, but they're good at getting these guys to do really well. And then Sean Murphy at catcher showed a lot of promise. George Springer leading off. He is an MVP candidate last year if he's not injured. Jose Altuve was good before they started cheating. Michael Brantley was a good hitter. It's just you never saw him because he was in Cleveland most of the time. Alex Bregman nearly beat Mike Trout as MVP in the AL. Yuli Gurriel had a nice 2019. Yordan Alvarez was the Rookie of the Year. Carlos Correa is a 2 or 3 hitter, hitting 7th. Josh Reddick doesn't offer much, but he's still a nice guy to have there, and Martin Maldonado is a nice catcher. But they have Justin Verlander and Zach Greinke. Now for the final division in baseball, the NL West. Just start it easy, get the Giants out of the way. San Francisco Giants are a last place team. There's not really much to say about them. They're just going to start tanking and rebuilding, and I think they should sell off as much as they possibly can. Third place in the NL West is the San Diego Padres. So the Padres have made it very clear that they have young talents coming up, but we need to start seeing it. Everything they've done is showing progress, and they've been hitting some bright spots, but some of their free agents like Manny Machado and Eric Hosmer haven't been living up to the amount of money that they were paid. Machado was fine, but Hosmer needs to step it up if he's going to be like the veteran leader. They got Emilio Pagan, who was lights out for the Rays last year as their closer. They're heading in the right direction, and all I really need from them this year is just to be over 500 or at 500. Alright, second place in the NL West is a team that I think a lot of people are sleeping on. It is the, wait for it, LA Dodgers. No, it's the Arizona Diamondbacks. I'm not that dumb. The Diamondbacks are really underrated to me, and I'm really intrigued by them. I feel like a lot of people are skipping over this team. They have a really, really nice hitting core. First, you gotta mention Ketel Marte. He came out of nowhere and was fourth in the MVP last year, and really fun. They got him a Bash brother in Starlin Marte. They also have one of the best defensive outfields in all of baseball. Starlin Marte in center, but on the corners you got David Peralta and Cole Calhoun. The rest of their infield is also very solid. You have Carson Kelly, Christian Walker, Eduardo Escobar, Nick Ahmed. Their pitching is solid enough, and I think they have some nice potential. Losing Mike Leake after he opted out could hurt them, but the rest of it, I think they have a chance to do really well. Most importantly, you get Madison Bumgarner in a Diamondbacks uniform, but I think he'll be better changing to a better team. And they also have solid guys all around. Zach Gallen is a guy that can do very well. Robbie Ray has a lot of potential. Luke Weaver had a nice start last year. And then their bullpen is the only thing that I have as a big question mark. I have Archie Bradley as a closer, but the rest of it, like Hector Rondon, Junior Guerrero, Andrew Chafin, Yohan Lopez, Kevin Nichols, Stefan Crichton. I mean, it's a bullpen that they have, but I think they could make improvements to it. And I think that the D-backs are the second wildcard team to whoever gets second in the NL East. And I think the Diamondbacks will surprise a lot of people this year, so they're second place in the NL West. For Rookie of the Year, I'm going to say Jesus Luzardo in the AL. And for the NL, I'm just going to say Gavin Lux. For Manager of the Year, I'm going to say Torey Lovullo of the Diamondbacks and Kevin Cash for the Rays. For the Cy Young, I'm going to say Tyler Glasnow for the American League and Sonny Gray for the National League. And then finally for the MVP, in the AL, I'm going to say Max Kepler. And in the NL, I'm going to say Christian Yelich.